Namo Myoho Renge Kyo. How you doing? I hope you're in good health, secure. Namo Myoho Renge Kyo. Thank you for your practice, your participation. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Help grow the Sangha. We are in the midst. In fact, we're going to finish the Earthly Desires Are Enlightenment Gosho, which you no doubt have heard and we've reviewed on this channel previously. And it's a very common, commonly referred to Gosho, but also very often misunderstood and misused, right? Earthly desires are enlightenment simply means that the energies, the cravings that we feel, that energy of wanting to own, wanting to possess, whatever it is, whether it's relationships, cars, food, whatever. If we understand that energy without identifying it with something, see, this is key. That yearning we physically and mentally feel, can you divorce it from the object of desire? Can you? Because that's the trick of the tail, if you will, here. It is that craving energy, not the identified object, because that's where suffering comes from. Once you identify the object of desire, then the whole cascade of tensions and anxiety and stress and quote-unquote suffering, that's where it is. That is samsara, the identification of things as objects, nouns of desire, verbs. And what Buddhism says is disconnect from the noun. Observe the verb of craving. Observe the action of, right? Action plus energy, karma. So instead, when that action starts to well up in your mind and body, immediately direct it to Gohonzon, the mind, the samsaric portal of mind that provides or accesses and experiences Buddha-ness. Disconnect the nouns and focus on the energy with the action, thought, word, or deed, right? And send your karma, your freight train of karma, that craving, those desires, into the mind of Buddha-ness, where that craving can simply be experienced as the totality of life, the universe itself, the engine of life, as I call it, yeah? Then it's not specified, it's not identified in the samsaric realm. It's identified, if you want to continue to use the analogy, as an experience of totality, equanimity. How powerful is that? The air that you breathe, right? When you accomplish a desire, it's our need for wow, isn't it? We want to impress ourselves with what we now own, experience. Well, how could you be more impressed than experiencing, moment to moment to moment, the totality of potential, amorphous, non-noun, but the verb, the momentum of being, not static, Noun is static. Nouns are person, places, or things, right? Remember grammar? Those are static, illusion of permanence things. We want to move away from that. All those things exist, but our understanding of how they exist divorces our mind from the nouns, and everything becomes part of the same process, including ourselves and our friends and our environments, on and on and on. That's what earthly desires, our enlightenment, is about. How often have you heard it discussed that way, though? Because it's much easier to attract members and contributors and followers by giving them free rein to their greed. And it just promotes the exact opposite of Buddhism. It's so terrible that so much of that exists in the world today. It has its foundations in cultures that were rebuilding after the war. It has its foundations in the need for people to dream of a better life. But the dreams they're having of a better life were based on things. So they're doomed never to achieve it. How many stories have you heard in your lifetime of people who, by chance, 1% of 1% of 1% of 1%, who gain much wealth? You would think from outside, you would think, wow, they got everything they could ever want, and yet they're miserable. Because nouns provide no solace. Nouns are static. They don't follow in your momentum of life. Life is not a static thing. Life is an experience of momentum of energy, karma. Energy plus action, karma. So, let's see how Nichiren wraps up this letter. Nevertheless, you became a votary of the Lotus Sutra, and as a result, you suffered severe persecutions, and you came to my assistance. Because you heard me, Nichiren, now, right? I can't say that one. Promulgating, promoting, spreading Shakyamuni's true teachings, the clarity of his teachings, which runs counter to a lot of the misinterpretations and propaganda of these other teachers that are misleading people, giving them wrong information because it's easier, and it gives them power to have all of this attention, right? Gee, it sounds very contemporary, doesn't it? But because you spoke up along with me when I said the emperor is naked, you looked at me from the other side of the crowd, and you looked at the emperor and you said, well, he's right, the emperor is naked. Right? It's an old fable, but it applies. And so Nichiren is saying, a lot of people, even though they know it, they don't want to admit it. They don't want to get in trouble. Or they like their lies. They're very comfortable in them. And so they're going to demonize us. They're going to shut up. Don't say it. Let him run around. His dumb ass running around naked in the streets thinking he has special clothing. It's kind of funny. Let him do it. And Nichiren's like, no. He wants to do it after he knows we know. Okay. But I'm not going to follow along with the lie, with the false propaganda. And he's saying to his friend here, you've committed to the same thing I've committed to. Therefore, you are taking the role of votary of the Lotus Sutra, a truth teller. just like you are and I am. So he's saying, being a truth teller, you got to understand there are forces in our lives of delusion who don't like letting go of their delusions, and they're going to express that. They're going to try to shut us up until the day we have enough followers, enough people who are awakened that they don't bother to do that anymore. They don't see the strength in it, and they start to self-reflect and mollify. That's the goal we all have, isn't it? As bodhisattvas of the earth. In the Teacher of the Law chapter, the Lotus Sutra, the Buddha states that he will magically conjure and send the 4 kinds of believers, monks, nuns, laymen, and laywomen, for the sake of the teachers of the law. That's kind of what I was just saying. If you're a teacher of the law, if you're a votary of the Lotus Sutra, if you stand your ground, I don't mean Texas here, but stand your ground on Namo Myoho Renge Kyo, the expression of potential that completely experiences life without attachment to nouns. The nouns still exist, but we understand them to exist through time, reinstantiating moment to moment to moment. We don't see them as static, permanent nouns. Do you see what I'm saying? So, in the Teacher of the Law chapter, what Shakyamuni Buddha teaches is that if you stand your ground, even those that might be considering resisting you will start to hear you. And they will change their thinking. They will come out of the woodwork, people you don't even know, to hear what you have to say, because it's not about you, it's about the law. Always follow the law, not the person, right? That applies to ourselves. When we endeavor to support somebody's curiosity about Buddhism and what we're doing, we're not going to say, well, let me tell you how to do this, right? Well, let me share with you how this works, how you can do this to make it work in your life, because it's about the law, it's not about me. I will share my experiences with you to help you to discover the answers you seek. Shoju. For the sake of the teachers of the law, if the layman mentioned here does not mean you, who does it refer to? Right? What was your stream of development to come to my aid now? Powerful causes made, yeah? You have not only heard the law, but you have taken strong resolve in it, and since then have followed it without turning aside. Now remember the context of this. This is in a letter titled Earthly Desires Are Enlightenment. And it's all about self-directed cosmic actions taken toward the law, right? There's no ownership here. There's taking that tremendous human will, conviction, energy, right? Volition, and directing it toward the law. Earthly desires, samsara, are enlightenment when used, when put to task in this way. How wondrous, Nichiren says. How extraordinary. If that is the case, then can there be any doubt that I am the teacher of the law of the Lotus Sutra? Just witness your own development, your life, your experience, your growth, your personal growth, your sense of security, just in your efforts to help me, Nichiren, then I must be that teacher of the law that the Lotus Sutra is speaking of, which he tells us all to emulate. So it's not an egotistic statement. He's just identifying how this practice works. Perhaps I also resemble the envoy of the Thus Come One. See, now he's dipping back into sutras all over the place, trying to explain to this person, but to those in general who would read this letter, how all of this ties together in Shakyamuni's teachings to understand correctly how to practice, yes? For I am carrying out, quote, the Thus Come One's work, the work of the law, the work of exposing others so that they too can accomplish Buddha-ness. I have nearly spread the 5 characters of the Daimoku that were entrusted to Bodhisattva superior practice when the 2 Buddhas were seated together in the treasure tower. Does this not mean that I am an envoy of Bodhisattva superior practices? There it is again, his association with the leadership, taking the helm, if you will, of leading others to the treasure tower, right? Moreover, follow me. You, as a votary of the Lotus Sutra now, have told others of this law. There it is, Bodhisattva work, right? What else could this be but the transmission of the law? Now, a lot is made of that statement. Again, certain sects and groups will claim ownership of that transmission. But here it is, Nichiren saying this translation, but Nichiren quite clearly saying that by helping others to discover their own path to Gohonzon, to Buddhahood, to Myoho Renge-kyo, this is the transmission of the law. There's no document, there's no special ceremony. It is the act of enlightenment, awakening within each individual sentient mind, the craving, the desire directed at enlightenment rather than samsara. Shift. That's the transmission of the law. Now it's up to them. Only they can attain their Gohonzon because it's their mind opening up. What it takes for them to experience that is going to require support, dedication, conviction, resolve. Same formula all the time. Carry through with your strong resolve in the Lotus Sutra. He's talking to a samurai here, right? This letter's to Shijo Kingo. I don't know if I said that before. You cannot strike fire from flint if you stop halfway. Yeah, you can't be half-hearted. If you want to see if this works, if you want to see how it works, if you want to experience it, then you got to commit. Throw those doubts away and commit. Bring forth the great power of strong resolve and be spoken of by all people of Kamakura, both high and low, or by all people of Japan as Shijo Kingo of the Lotus School. Right? Not Nichiren's pet. Stand on your own as a votary of the Lotus Sutra. Follow the law, not the person. Even a bad reputation will spread far and wide, right? Make one mistake and suddenly the whole world knows it, right? A good reputation will spread even farther, particularly if it is a reputation for devotion to the Lotus Sutra. That's not to say everybody will be happy to hear it, but they'll know. And that's part of shoju, right? Right? Explain all this to your wife, too, so she knows what's going on, because you guys, when you wed somebody, you live with somebody, you start to share karmic energies, don't you? And work together like the sun and moon, a pair of eyes or the two wings of a bird. What a wonderful way to look at a relationship, yeah? With the sun and moon, could there be a path of darkness? With a pair of eyes, no doubt, you will see the faces of Shakyamuni, many treasures, and the Buddhas of the 10 directions. You will see equanimity. You will see life working moment to moment in everything, everywhere, because your mind will shift to that perception. With a pair of wings, you will surely fly in an instant to the treasure land of tranquil light. There's the Vimalakirti again. You won't leave here and go to that land. You will suddenly realize the truth will appear in everything that you hadn't seen it in before because of the way you see it and experience it. Yeah? I will write in more detail on another occasion. With my deep respect, Nichiren, replied Shijo Kingo. That's earthly desires are enlightenment. Really, when you listen to it, maybe you'll download the podcast and listen to this again without all my colorful faces and hand movements, but really consider what Nichiren is saying here. My hope is that it becomes obvious to you that Nichiren never once was talking about gaining possessions, furthering one's material wealth. That's just not part of this Gosho. And yet, how many have been misled, mistaught? It's too easy. Resist that. Please resist that. Not only for yourself, but when you hear it and anyone, oh, I've heard of that, you chant for the things you want. No. That's not what Buddhism is at all. Nor is it what the earthly desires are enlightenment about. It's about the paradigm shift. It's about changing the way you experience the world. Either you're buried by possessions, samsaric suffering, or you liberate yourself from that false notion of ownership, and you begin to see that everything, moment to moment, is happening, living, experiencing. That life is momentum, and life includes every grain of sand in the Ganges, right? Nothing is static. Not even in a black hole, right? Okay, thank you so much. Thank you so much for your curiosity, for your self-teaching, sharing, liking, subscribing, using the algorithms, as it were, for bodhisattva effort, yeah? And if you can, and it helps you, please go to threefoldlotus.com, buy the ebooks, or buy the print books on lulu.com. All the links are in the description of this video, as well as in the images, beginning and end of the video, right? Patrons, thank you so much. You guys all hear it all the time, so I'm going to cut that short. I just want you to know how much I appreciate you and how much I appreciate your practice. It blows me away. You know, we keep gaining subscribers, and we lose some occasionally. It makes me sad. But overall, we're slowly growing Namo Myoho Renge Kyo. That's very validating. It's very precious. And you guys are all over the world, so we're making a difference. You're making a difference, yeah? So thank you for that. Take care of your health. Take care of your loved ones. I'll see you in the next one, okay? What's the next one on? I think it's on chanting. I think I said that last time. Yeah, on chanting. Curious to read that one. All right. Bye for now.